Want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. My name is Michael Evans, and you're listening to America's Voice Now. You know, we call the show America's Voice because there are literally no voices speaking up for America. No one is speaking for America. Our government, they speak for themselves. They speak to their plans, their agendas. They speak to their cover-ups. Our Ministry of Propaganda, also known as the mass media, they don't speak for America. They speak to America and foster and promote that which we all know to be against our best interest. They promote the unconscionable. They defend the indefensible. They support the unsupportable. But we the people, who's speaking for us? It's not your mainstream talk show hosts either. I mean, where are they when we need them? Where are they saying collectively, as a collective group, hey, let's get 25 million Americans to march on Washington, D.C. and shut down the tyranny? Where are they? Where are they in helping to create a peaceful, massive civil disobedience nationally that will turn this ship around? They're nowhere to be found. They rail, they rant, they talk about the issues of the day. But when it really comes down to it, they don't have a plan, and they're unwilling to endorse someone else's. In fact, they'll tell you they're really all about entertainment. In fact, Rush Limbaugh has said it. Dennis Miller has said it. We're not a political leadership group. We're entertainment. Well, I beg to differ with you, all of you. But this isn't entertainment. Because at the end of this hour episode, our nation falls to tyranny. And that's a permanent problem. So where are you? Where are you when we need you? Where are you while our nation is falling apart? Where are you while we are breaking apart like a ship in a monster storm? Where are you while Americans, we the people, have no voice? Who's standing for us? Who's putting out their voice for us? Who speaks on our behalf? Who really, truly represents us? No one. There are no national leaders. There are no people standing up and saying, I will lead, or at least not that we can hear their voice amongst the din. Our alleged leaders are betraying us, left and right, multiple times a day. So they're not it. Our congressional representatives are voting our rights away as quickly as they possibly can. So they're not it. The mass media, the new ministry of propaganda, won't tell us the truth. They hide the truth because they're trying to achieve some agenda. So that's not it. The only independent voice left is talk radio, and with all due respect to most of them, they still consider themselves entertainment. So that's not it. The Tea Parties have merged themselves into the Republican Party for the most part. So that independent voice that for some short period of time seemed to give America hope and an injection of faith has collapsed into and morphed into republicanism. But not political republicanism. Republicanism is in the party. So that's not it. Michael Hayden, the general who runs the NSA, he comes out and he says probable cause is not in the Fourth Amendment. Well, I beg to differ, Mr. Hayden, but probable cause is in the Fourth Amendment. He actually has the gall to say that probable cause doesn't appear in the Fourth Amendment. And if there's one amendment that the NSA knows well, it's the Fourth. And so this guy who's talking to a group of press people, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. It's a disturbing reality. He's the military. Are they standing up for us? No. So that's not it. Who is? Who stands for America? Who stands for the unnamed? The hundreds of millions of us who are fearful as we watch our country descend and crash and burn. Who speaks for us? Who represents our collective voices? Who represents our fear and our terror and our sorrow? Who is speaking for us? No one. We are treated as if we're tolerated. We're treated as if we should be grateful for this abuse. We are treated as if we owe them deference and allegiance. I don't pledge allegiance to some tyrant. I pledge allegiance to a flag that represents my republic. And to the republic for which it stands. Who speaks for us? Ladies and gentlemen, I fear there is no one speaking for us. All those who can have compromised themselves to the point where they have bathed in corruption or personal aggrandizement or for their own benefit. And so I fear no one speaks for us. We'll be right back.
The Battery Station in West Plains is your headquarters for getting and being prepared. Natural disasters, civil unrest, personal and family protection, long-term sustenance, and most importantly, peace of mind. Berkey bottles and home-sized water purification systems, survival food, MREs, freeze-dried food, survival knives, lanterns, ammunition, military sleep system, and of course, batteries of all shapes and sizes. Take charge of your own survival and security. The Battery Station, 303 Washington in West Plains, 417-257-7799 or batterystation.com.
There's one man on this earth who really, truly gets it.
Who has done more damage to this nation? Edward Snowden or Barack Hussein Obama? Oh my God, Mark! I'm asking a question. Who has done more damage? And who has done more to undermine our national security, whether it's on the border or hollowing out the military? And I can give you 10 other examples. I'm sorry. I speak the truth.
Weeknights from 5 till 8, Mark Levin on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
I want you guys to hear this exchange because I found this so telling, so indicative of such empirical value in terms of proof. It is empirical proof that those who are sworn to protect us, who have sworn an oath, treat that oath as if it was an order for a cup of coffee. So that we know for a fact that they consider their oath meaningless, worthless. This is an amazing exchange. This is General Michael Hayden. He is the head of the NSA, or one of the former head of the NSA, I should say. Apologize, it's former. He's arguing with a reporter who asks about the term or the phrase probable cause. And he says, Hayden says it's not found in the Fourth Amendment. I want you to hear this because this belies everything that they tell us. You see, their actions, as we've always known, and I mean, like your mom told you, your actions speak louder than your words. But here's the proof.
My understanding is that the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution specifies that you must have probable cause to be able to do a search that does not violate an American's right against unlawful searches and seizures.
Actually, the Fourth Amendment actually protects all of us against unreasonable search and seizure.
But
that's what it says.
The measure is probable cause, I believe.
The amendment says unreasonable search and seizure.
But does it not say probable?
No.
The court standard, the legal standard,
search and seizure.
the legal standard is probable cause.
Just to be very clear, okay, and believe me, if there's any amendment to the Constitution that employees of the National Security Agency are familiar with, it's the fourth.
Cause.
Just to be very clear, okay, and believe me, if there's any amendment to the Constitution that employees of the National Security Agency are familiar with, it's the fourth. Clear, okay, and believe me, if there's any amendment to the Constitution that employees of the National Security Agency are familiar with, it's the fourth. Right? And it is a reasonableness standard in the Fourth Amendment.
To quote the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution of the United States in its entirety, the one the General and the NSA folks are so familiar with and know is about reasonableness and not about probable cause, quote, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. No warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Well, maybe they have a different constitution over there at the NSA.
Doesn't that say it all? Maybe they have a different constitution over there at the NSA. I mean, how? This is a man who has reached the position of general. He was the former head of the NSA, the National Security Agency. And the fourth very clearly says, apparently he hasn't read it since he was in grade school, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. And no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause. How is it that this man doesn't know that? Is that not terrifying? People, you know, the Supreme Court yesterday ruled that proof of citizenship cannot be demanded in order to allow the vote. Voter proof of citizenship law in Arizona has now been voided. They can no longer require you to provide evidence of your citizenship when you register to vote. Justice Scalia, long thought to be the pillar of the rule of law on the court, wrote with the majority decision and says that the federal government has broad authority to displace state election rules. Congress may override states in establishing the time and the place and the manner of holding elections. How much is left, folks, for them to take? How much is left for us? How much is left for the states to be in charge of their own future, their own destiny? It's incredible to me. It's incredible to me that the mass media, that the independent talk radio folks, that the military, that the watchdogs, that government itself has completely and totally forsaken and abandoned us. What was their price? What was their price? What could you possibly gain that would justify your betrayal of our nation, of our Constitution, of the 300 million citizens who live here? And what should it profit a man if he gain the whole world but lose his own soul? And what should it profit a man that he gain the entire planet, all the riches therein, but lose his own soul? How do you combat that kind of evil? How do you combat a corruption that stinks of death and is happy to be there? I don't know. And it's not just relegated to them. The media, the government, the agencies, the individuals who work there. It's literally untold, vast numbers of Americans who are willing to sit on the sidelines and do nothing. They see it, they smell it, they taste it, they can feel its substance, and they're paralyzed in fear and apathy. How do you fight a corruption that stinks of death, that reeks of evil, and revels in its own debasement? I just don't know. I just don't know. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show. You're live.
Hello. How are you doing this morning?
I'm struggling.
Yeah, I can hear it. You know, I was thinking about a few things that, you know, a lot of us that are listening, we're very, when we talk about these things in groups, I think you're listening to Michael Evans this morning. One of the things I was thinking about, one of the people we're talking about, they weren't up to speed on a lot of things you're talking about. So you're talking to and teaching us about some of the things that have led you to come to understand these things. If you can follow what I'm saying here, I'm not sure if I'm communicating properly. But, you know, I mean, it's just that overwhelming thing that oppresses us, and we don't know why sometimes. And you've experienced this firsthand, as I have, and many other people have too. But a lot of times I don't think they believe some of the things that you're saying are so... I think one of the words one of the ladies used was preposterous. It's preposterous to believe that our government's not on our side, that everybody's like that. And I started to go ahead and explain that there's probably three different groups of people. One of them is the gung-ho, believing and all faithful and all loving and kind and, you know, just can't believe. They can't bring themselves to believe that this would happen. And when they hear the stories of it, they still don't believe it. They think it's an isolated case.
Yeah. Well, but when you look at it in the totality of the whole thing.
Right, exactly. But I think that's the thing that she was trying to bring out, was it hadn't touched her. She hears the stories, but how can you show us some of the things that are right here in front of our eyes, that the earth isn't flat?
Listen, I struggle every day trying to make it happen.
It's hard, I know.
And you know, there are some days when it's just very, very difficult to look at this and not feel like I've got to pour my heart out about it.
Well, you're doing a good job, and keep pouring your heart out.
Hey, thank you for the call. I appreciate you.
All right, Michael, we'll talk to you later.
Folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to just talk about this Blue Ways thing, just give you a bit of an update on it. And it's just one more issue that we need to address, and we can't let slip past us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. Closing international companies' tax loopholes, one of the topics taken up at the G8 summit in Northern Ireland.
As well as the economy, leaders have also been discussing the civil war in Syria, with President Obama meeting one-on-one with Russia's President Vladimir Putin. In the afternoon, the president and his wife and daughters are set to leave Northern Ireland for Germany.
Fox News Radio's Simon Owen in Sligo, Ireland, covering the summit. Protests in at least 8 big cities in Brazil. More than 100,000 people demanding better security, transportation, and health services and an end to government corruption. The Boston Bruins take a 2-1 lead in the best-of-7 Stanley Cup Finals, shutting out the Chicago Blackhawks 2-0.
Back end is Bolden. Through one across, shot, score!
That game on NBC Sports Network. Game 4 is tomorrow night in Boston. Fox News, we report, you decide.
I'd like to thank our sponsor, Wits End Classic Barbershop, who is the sponsor of our telephone lines this morning. They're located on the square in West Plains. It's Wits End Classic Barbershop. Thanks to our friends over at West Plains Pawn and Gun. You can find them on the web at westplainspawn.com. They can be reached at 417-256-3000, and they're located on Route 160, about a mile past Walmart on the right-hand side. 400 guns undercover. Pizza Hut, our friends down there on Porter Wagoner Boulevard. They have an outstanding lunch menu with salad, pizza, and pasta. Excellent opportunity for you to have a great lunch and eat well and something tasty. Our friends over at the Battery Station at 303 Washington Avenue. You can find them on the web at batterystation.com. Telephone 417-257-7799. Our friends over at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance can be found on the web at ozarkmtnselfreliance.com. My friend Brian there can be reached at 870-492-4030. They're located a half-mile east of Walmart at 3225 Route 62, Mountain Home. My friend Mary over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, the best damn bakery in 100 miles. She's right off the square in West Plains at 2 Evans Arcade, and you can reach her at 255-2253. And my friend Bill Stone over at Stone Construction. If you're considering doing remodeling, custom or new construction, or anything light commercial, give Bill a call and have him bid on your project at 293-0116.
I saw a penguin fly out of a U.S. Cellular store with a new Samsung Galaxy smartphone. Sounds crazy, but U.S. Cellular is offering $100 off a new Samsung Galaxy phone. If that's crazy, I'm a loon.
Switch to U.S. Cellular and say hello to the Galaxy S4 for only $99.99 or the Samsung Galaxy S3 for free. U.S. Cellular. Hello better. After $100 mail-in rebate that comes as a MasterCard debit card, applicable data plan required. New 2-year agreement and $35 device activation fee may apply. Certain restrictions apply. See store for details.
Weather sponsorships are now available on News Talk 107.1 The Point. Get more information. Email info@diamondmediaradio.com for complete details.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, we expect today to be mostly sunny with a high of 84. It'll depart County tonight on 63. We'll have a mostly sunny, warm Wednesday with a high of 85. It'll depart County Wednesday night on 65. There's a chance of showers and thunderstorms on Thursday with a high of 85. I'm Rod Tanner, and for more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
Are you looking to save money? Did you know that in the last 20 years, interest rates have never been this low? That's why you should make the smart call today to West Plains Savings and Loan to start your home mortgage. Just imagine how much money you'll save. Key word is save, as in savings and loan. Your loan starts here and stays here. Never would it be sold to a secondary lender. Call today, 256-3042. That's 256-3042. West Plains Savings and Loan. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
All right, we're back. I just want to remind you, today is Tuesday, and Pizza Hut down on Porter Wagoner Boulevard has their family night on Tuesday, where kids under 12 eat free. So make sure that you get down to Pizza Hut on Porter Wagoner and take advantage of that family night. It's a great opportunity. They have a buffet there and a good salad bar and a great place for lunch, too. Make sure that you see Mary over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery. She's a great friend and a supporter of this program. And not only that, but she's the best damn bakery you're going to find in 100 miles. You can get a hold of her at 255-2253, or you can go over to her facility or store over here on number 2 Evans Arcade off the square in West Plains. Also, make sure you see our friends over at Spring Creek Beef. They have a natural, all-natural grass-fed beef from start to finish. No grain ever touches the lips of those cows, and it's 100% natural. No hormones, no antibiotics, etc., etc. Their website is Spring Creek Beef. They're a local company right here in our area. You can find them on the web at springcreekbeef.com, and they're located right in Pottersville. So you can also go down and pick up some of their products down at the battery station. They have a freezer down there, so you don't have to go out to Pottersville, but you can see what some of the options are by visiting their website. Greg McLaughlin is having the concealed carry course on June 29th. Runs at 8 a.m. That's a Saturday. Make sure that you get a hold of him. He runs a school called Black Ops School of Combat. You can find him at blackopsschoolofcombat.com. His telephone number is 417-255-1612. Make sure that you visit his website and or give him a call at 255-1612 and schedule yourself for that class or an alternative one. He will also create a program for those who can't make it on a full Saturday and break it into 2 nights during the week. He also has a great program out there. If you bring 5 other folks with you, your class is free. So get a hold of Greg McLaughlin. He's a well-skilled trainer, and I think you'll find that he's got a great offering there. $75 for that class. If you don't have a pistol, he can help you out with that too. But you have to give him a call and arrange that. 255-1612. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I haven't called in a long time.
I recognize your voice, Chuck. How are you?
I'm doing well. I find that I'm doing better since I pay less attention to the talking heads and the political figures in the world.
Okay. Well, as long as you're keeping your ear to the radio speaker and listening to this show, you're still getting informed, but without all of the clutter and nonsense and subterfuge and other nonsense associated to it. But I can tell you're probably not doing that.
Not as much as I used to, honestly. And I find that I have a cheerier disposition for it.
Okay.
And I guess when I heard you talking so heartfelt about how disappointed you were in the system, you know, I've been there. I feel it, man.
It's not just the system, though, Chuck. It's the system and it's the people. Because you see, the system has failed us and has betrayed our trust and our best interests. And
for sure.
And that's disappointing and that's heartfelt and painful. But when the people fail, and the people fail us, and fail themselves, that is something else again, right? You can't blame that on government. You can only blame that on apathy. And that's an unfortunate characterization or character flaw in America. And whether it's whether it's Prozac induced or just greed,
I don't want to speculate on that.
or just greed induced, or just apathy, and it's endemic and it's systemic in our system, and it's not just government. They're out there to abuse us. The point is that the soldiers are all standing around and nobody's even raising a sword while they're being hacked to death.
Well, I see that the approval rating for Congress, for the White House, for all of the political system is in the gutters.
Well, and Congress has been on the Friends and Family approval plan for a decade now. I mean, if you can only get 10% of the country or 9% of the country to support you, that's because those are your family, your friends, and the people who owe you financial, have a fiduciary responsibility from you. But go ahead.
Well, I was thinking the fact that they have that low of approval rating proves that people are paying attention. They're just not seeing a better option yet.
I would disagree with that. I would say that doesn't show that people are paying attention. it would show that those people who are paying attention don't have a respect for Congress. But that doesn't take into account the tens of or hundreds of millions who are sitting around not giving a damn. And I'm sorry, but I can't subscribe to the theory that I'm going to keep my head in the sand. I'll be happier for it, but in the end, I'm going to find out that while I had my head in the sand, they crawled up behind me and snapped manacles around my ankles and my feet and my hands. I'm not going to accept that. I won't do it.
All right.
And you know what? Even if it destroys my daily outlook, I would rather be awake and aware while I'm being eaten by the tiger.
Well, let me throw out a different idea. We only get to elect so often. It's the nature of the beast. So in off years, you can drive yourself nuts, you can obsess on it, but until that election day comes, you don't really have any recourse.
I disagree. We do have recourse. 25 million of us can march on Washington and demand that these traitors and treasonists and elitists and self-proclaimed slave masters get the hell out of our lives and get out of our country, because they're usurpers and they're tyrants. They're not representatives. And I beg to differ with you. So, I mean, listen, you're entitled to your opinion. And you know what? I'll fight to the death someday so that you can have it. But I don't have to accept it, and I don't have to agree to it. But thank you very much for it.
Maybe don't accept it in its entirety, but just one day.
I don't accept
appreciate the relaxation of it.
I understand, and I don't accept an iota of it, because I have to be vigilant every moment of every waking moment. I have to be vigilant even while I'm asleep, because that's what it takes to keep our republic alive.
If that were true, then how are you going to have the serenity to accept the things you cannot change?
I never said I needed it. Thanks for the call, though. Go ahead, caller. I don't know what to say to that. I mean, I can sit here in serenity and I can do my om as they're snapping the manacles around me and putting a collar on my neck and a ring through my nose. But at the end of the day, my om is going to be cut short as they yank the chain. I mean, what kind of insanity is that?
Well, I think we have something here. I heard an illustration that you might find interesting. If you take an elephant and you chain it, shackle its leg, and put a chain on it and put a stake in the ground, and every time it tries to move against that stake, that trainer goes ahead and gives it a good whack, all of a sudden, when you move that elephant and he has that chain on, it's no longer staked in, he hears the chain rattling and doesn't move because he thinks he's chained down and shackled. Well, he is shackled, but he's not staked down. And I think that's kind of what we're experiencing here.
Well, I could draw 100 other analogies from that, including the fact that obviously shows the intelligentsia of the Pachyderm Club. But in addition to that, you know, I could also draw the other mental picture for you that even those gigantic elephants, as dangerous as they can be, they're afraid of mice.
Exactly. And that's what we have going on here.
You know, the simple truth is they fear us. They just pretend they don't. It's all bluff and bluster. And if 25 million Americans stormed Washington, D.C. in a peaceful, civil, massive, national civil disobedience maneuver that says we're not leaving until you scumbags split, they would have to capitulate. I don't know what else to do, because there's only one other alternative if we don't grab that bull by the horns. Things are going to descend to the point where the principle of mad is forced upon us, and that is just unacceptable.
Well, think about what you. I'm glad you brought that up, because think about here in about 60, 70 years ago, when civil rights marches were being, they were trying to do them, and the police did everything, including even at a state level and federal level, to prevent them from rallying. And we have the same program going on right now. If you remember the Tea Party and all the rest of those things, you had to get permits. You cannot assemble peacefully, as our Constitution allows us. This is something that you have to now get permission. It's illegal. If you have to get a permit for something, it's illegal. So now we have to get a permit to go ahead and legally assemble peacefully.
Yeah, try and take 25 million people and tell them they can't stay. I mean,
well, the police lines have been there. I mean, they already moved. They moved people away.
Not with 25 million. They don't. That's my point.
That would require some movement.
Massive, peaceful, civil disobedience on
Don't
a
you think
scale.
The police are going to go ahead and stop us?
No, not 25 million. I mean, now you're talking.
2 million's a lot.
Well, first of all, there's never been a group that has been assembled that's more than, what, 1 million, 1.5 million at best guess, even by the most wildly extravagant estimates of whoever has run the Million Man whatever. So the simple truth of the matter is 25 million people would show them serious, significant resolve. And that's the problem. Nobody's willing to do that. We got a break coming up, so make your last point quick.
All right. Why? What can we do to go ahead and help us realize that we're not staked in like that elephant is?
I don't know. I'm trying to wake them up every day. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. We'll be back in just a moment. I'll give you that Blue Ways update.
The Battery Station in West Plains is your headquarters for getting and being prepared. Natural disasters, civil unrest, personal and family protection, long-term sustenance, and most importantly, peace of mind. Berkey bottles and home-sized water purification systems, survival food, MREs, freeze-dried food, survival knives, lanterns, ammunition, military sleep system, and of course, batteries of all shapes and sizes. Take charge of your own survival and security. The Battery Station, 303 Washington and West Plains, 417-257-7799 or batterystation.com.
Last time on the Dennis Miller Show.
The shorthanded Antioch Police Department in the Bay Area is now enlisting the help of garbage collectors and mail carriers to help them spot crimes. This explains the high-profile busts last night of Oscar the Grouch and Mr. McFeely. Hey, you kids in Vice, keep your eye out for Cookie Monster, or CM.
Weekdays from 9 till noon, it's the Dennis Miller Zone on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
At Missouri State University West Plains, students are finding new beginnings and endless possibilities.
Hi, I'm Nikki Regan, and I'm a graduate of Missouri State West Plains. Coming from a small high school, I was afraid that I would be lost at college. Instead, I found a smooth transition to the college setting at the West Plains campus.
Call Missouri State West Plains today to find out how we can help you achieve your educational goals. Registration is going on now, 255-7255, or check us out on the web, wp.missouristate.edu.
If you're looking for great deals on iPads or Kindles, look no further than your neighborhood Radio Shack authorized sales center. They've got great deals on the latest iPads and Kindles. Maybe you need a new GPS or an MP3 player to get your music library ready for those barbecues. Whatever your electronic needs, stop by your local neighborhood Radio Shack authorized dealer in West Plains at 1408 Southern Hills Shopping Center or call 417-256-1819.
All right. I want to spend the last segment here kind of bringing you guys up to speed on Blue Ways. As it stands right now, they're kind of caught off guard, I think, or caught by surprise. I shouldn't say off guard. They're caught by surprise by the folks that are actually pushing back on this Blue Ways thing. I think they were kind of praying that nobody would catch it before the Memorandum of Understanding became finalized. Claire McCaskill's out there throwing out support. Now, this is all the greatest thing since canned peas and sliced bread. This is a wonderful project and program that's going to benefit the citizens. Blah 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 blah. It doesn't create any new rules. La 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 la. No, all the typical diatribe nonsense. Everybody's being taken out of context. Look, come on. The simple truth is, here's where we are on it. Right now, we have a number of counties that have signed on to the resolution. Excuse me. I'll be going to a meeting this morning to talk to the central group of 7. It's not a public meeting, by the way, for those of you that have asked where it is, how to get there, and all that. It's not a public meeting. So, but this is to cover the 7-county region and all the presiding commissioners from each of the 7 counties will be there. So, and we're planning and hoping to walk away with completely executed resolutions. Our state legislators are getting involved in this. Yesterday, Jason Smith, the representative who now is in Washington, came out and sent a letter to the Secretary of the Interior, and it was actually quite strenuously arguing the whole issue of blueways, and I'm glad that he did that. Don't misunderstand me and where I'm going here, but because he also just voted for the NDAA extension. So I mean, I'm not let's not gild the lily here. But the simple truth is that we are seeing an enormous amount of groundswell support, not only in the terms of the grassroots individuals, but also in terms of our legislative bodies and those people who are in a position of government authority to help support and back and protect. What we're asking for is simply this. If you're in a government role, and you have any role in county government, state government, city government, we expect you. In fact, we don't expect you. We're demanding that you interpose yourself and your role and your position and your office in between us and a federal government and a group of biased, alleged stakeholders who don't even come from here, and protect us. That's what your job is. Government's role is to protect the minority. We are the minority. We're a minority of one. You are a minority of one. I am a minority of one. Your daughter, your son, your wife, your sister, your mother. We are each a minority of one. The concept of the rule of law, of a republican form of government, is that the minority, the rule of one, is always protected from the abuse of the majority. I mean, under majority, if 51% say murder is legal, suddenly it is. That's a democracy. Now, that's scant, consolation to the murdered, but hey, that's the way it goes, right? Democracy is always a will, based on whichever way the wind is blowing, whatever public comment or thought or acceptance is, societal acceptance is. The rule of law says the majority rules as long as it doesn't override the individual rights of the individual. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what our Constitution guarantees us, not only state but federal. And what we're seeing here is our states, their authority and their power is being usurped. Missouri and Arkansas, the new Mo-Arkanistan, is being told by the federal government what we're going to get and that we're going to like it, whether we like it or not. So what we need is our legislators, our representatives, whether those be in city government, county government, whether those folks represent us in the state house, in the legislature, whether they are our attorney general, our governor, whether they represent us in Washington, to stand up, to stand as our guardian, our protector, to stand before us and say, I will interpose on your behalf. I will protect you. I don't believe the biased beneficiaries of this designation, because they have an axe to grind. Of course they're going to tell us it's a great thing. It doesn't make it so. We need each of us. I need each of you communicating with your county commissioners. I need you talking to your House representative. I need you talking to your Senate representative. Now, Mike Cunningham has already come out and said he's against it. A number of the state legislators have come out, state representatives have come out and said they're against it. But, we want to make sure that they recognize how significant this groundswell of support for the defeat of this thing really is. We need you on the phone with Jason Smith's office. I need you on the phone with Roy Blunt's office. I need you on the phone with Claire McCaskill's office. I need you to let her know that she's betraying the oath of office that she took to protect you. We need you on the phone to the Department of the Interior, We need you to cancel your membership to the Nature Conservancy and the Audubon Society, and then tell them why. We're out of time, folks. We only got until July 6th before the Memorandum of Understanding is finalized. Now, I keep hearing these arguments, well, there is no public comment period. I don't know what all this hubbub is about. That's exactly the point. You didn't give us a public comment period. Well, nothing becomes finalized. There's no way that they can stop it anyway. July 6th isn't really, that's just the date the MOU becomes permanent. Exactly. So who are you trying to mislead here by stating that the people can't stop it by July 6th? That's what the supporters are saying. Well, let me tell you something. If the Memorandum of Understanding, which by their own admission is an agreement between federal agencies and state agencies and stakeholder groups that doesn't involve any of us or any of the true stakeholders, if that becomes permanent July 6th, then we still have an opportunity to end and break the signing of it. And we also have an opportunity, irrespective of what they sign, to stand up and say, any law that you pass that is extra-constitutional is null and void. And you have nullified and voided your authority. You have exceeded your authority. You have no constitutional grounds to do this. We reject it roundly, and we demand that you get out of our states. That's it. I don't care whether they've got a Memorandum of Understanding signed or not. The simple truth is, it's our property, it's our state, it's our land, these are our farms, they're our rivers. You know, I had a guy the other day I saw after one of those meetings, I went up to him and I said, hey, have you heard about this Blue Ways thing? No, he was a guy who was visiting, he was out on the river, he came from St. Louis or Kansas City or something. You know what he said to me? This is the mentality, people. He said to me, well, the way a lot of these people keep their property is shameful. Hey, you know what, pal? That's their property. You may not like it, but it doesn't mean that you have the right to dictate from afar how they can maintain it and keep it. Just because you come and visit this river, if it's such a bad river, go find another river. It doesn't belong to the United States of America. It belongs to the state of Missouri and the state of Arkansas. And it belongs to the citizens therein. And the private property surrounding it belongs to those individuals. And if we have no right to private property, then we are not citizens, we are subjects. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the entire argument in a nutshell. If we have no control over our private property, and the same argument could be made for our privacy, to be secure in our persons and our effects. Well, nobody had a computer in those days, but an effect would still be considered a hard drive today. If we don't have the right to privacy, if we don't have the right to our property, if we don't have the right to benefit from the fruit of our labor without it being stolen away for redistribution by someone else, then we are not citizens, we are subjects. That's why you've heard me say we already live in a police state. They just haven't announced it to you yet on faux news, Communist News Network, MSLSD trip. That's why. Because most Americans are sitting here asleep at the switch, and the train is racing towards the crossing. They don't know and or frankly care. But you know what? You can pass all the laws you want. My Constitution says to me that if you've exceeded its delegated authority to you, your law is null and void and of no effect. And I've got righteousness, law, natural law, God's law, national law, international law, the rule of law on my side. You can bend and twist those words with legalese any way you want. But it doesn't take away my authority to defend myself, my family, my community, my state, and my nation. You're listening to America's Voice now. Please find us on the web. You can find this and every other show at youtube.com/America's Voice Now, facebook.com/America's Voice Now, and americasvoicenow.org. See you tomorrow.
From West Plains